What is up, gamers and tech fans? JC here, and you are watching Reaper Tech. Nividia just revealed their newest line of graphics card, the 10 series graphics cards, and we're going to be talking about the GTX 1080, which is a really powerful card and has doubled the performance of their previous gen card. Alright, so as you've seen, this graphics card, for one, this is their new reference card, which they're referring to as their Founders Edition card, which the Founders Edition is going to go for $700, $699. They will be releasing from the other companies, MSI, Asus, Gigabyte, all those companies, their version of their cards are going to have an MSRP of $599. So actually, the non-reference cards are going to be cheaper than the reference cards this year. I'm super excited for it because the non-reference cards has more power in them. Now, we don't have any information on those cards yet because the card has not released. I expect that we'll start seeing information on those cards just on the release day of the GTX 1080. Now, getting into the card, we're going to expect 8 gigabytes of GDDR5X video RAM, which their GDDR5X video RAM is, from what I get, is almost twice as fast as their just GDDR5 RAM. And one thing I'm just super excited for and we'll be able to take better advantage of. Next thing we get to talk about is the GTX 1080 has 2560 CUDA cores. That may not be a huge gap from last year's card, but what is their power efficiency runs at 180 watts. This is because the architecture is now done on a 16 nanometer process versus the 28 nanometer process that was done last year's cards, the GTX 980. Because of this, they're able to achieve better power efficiency, of course, running at 180 watts. Because of the better power efficiency, they're able to clock the cores up higher because they don't get as hot. Because of the smaller process, it's much easier to cool, allowing us to get much higher clocks. Let's talk about clock speed. Base clock, we're talking about 1607 megahertz with a boost clock of 1733 megahertz. Now that's a pretty big gap. I believe that's about 600 megahertz difference from last generation's card, the GTX 980. Now, at their release event, the reveal event of the GTX 1080, they did an overclock of 2100 and something megahertz on the base card. No cherry pick, they just grabbed one off the line and overclocked it at the reveal. Now what this means for us, because like I said, this is a reference card, once we get the aftermarket coolers on this card, we could be looking somewhere up of 2300, 2500 megahertz on a GTX 1080, which is amazing. And in my experience, for every 100 megahertz we're able to overclock a card, we gain 5 to 10 frames a second depending on the game, which is huge, especially when we're getting into 8 gigs of RAM, which allows for a wider range of 4K gaming. And just the absolute beast of a card that this is, let's talk about some of the quick benchmarks that's come out from this card. Now, the people that have gotten their hands on this card and been able to benchmark it, test out these games, they haven't been able to test the full potential of the card. And this is just talking about the reference card, because the overclocking software that is used for this card is not available yet. They have not updated their software. Nividia has their own overclocking software that is just for them, so they were able to overclock it at the reveal. However, things like EZGA Precision X, MSI Afterburner, and all the other programs like that we use, the consumers use to overclock our cards, they don't have their program updated yet to support the new GPU Boost 3.0. So because of this, the games didn't perform amazing like we know they're going to perform, because we know we can get a higher clock speed than what is shown here. Most of the benchmarks were done and they couldn't get through the GPU's 3.0. They allowed the card to boost itself, and most of them got it up to about 1800 megahertz or something along those lines, which is still really, really good. Now, getting into the benchmarks, no one card has been able to flawlessly run games at 4K except for the GTX 1080, the new king in the world. So let's talk about it. It's almost double the performance of two GTX 980s, and it beats the performance of the GTX Titan, which has been the king for the longest time. When talking about AMD's cards, even their R9 Fury was not able to compare for multiple reasons. Its power consumption, its heat, and just its overall performance was not able to compete against the GTX 1080. Now let's get into the benchmarks of the GTX 1080. Now when we're talking about gaming, of course, we're going to keep this to gaming. Let's talk about 4K. This GTX 1080 will be able to run, we're talking about just our reference card, the Founders Edition card, is able to run most games at 4K resolutions between high and ultra settings, with a couple slight variations of the MSAA and anti-aliasing turned slightly down, because you can't tell the difference between anything higher than 2 MSAA or 2 times anti-aliasing because of the absolute amazing 4K resolutions here. But we're going to talk about a few of the games here. We got Tomb Raider, Hitman, the new Hitman game, of course, Battlefield 4, Crysis 3. All these games were able to achieve an average FPS of 50 to 65 FPS. I believe Battlefield 4 achieved something like 75 FPS, complete ultra settings at 4K resolutions, which is absolutely amazing. And now if you're getting those kind of performance from 4K, the 1080p FPS is even better. We're experiencing of 140 to 180 FPS on 1080p resolution. So if you're still planning on playing on 1080p for a little bit longer, expect a much higher frame rate than what you experience for 4K. If you got a 1440p monitor, you're going to be set on every game. Also, one more thing I wanted to point out about the card, because of its low power consumption, we're only going to be needing a single 8-pin power connector to run this card, which is amazing. Makes it much better for cable management. And the next thing, guys, the new program that they coming out with called Ansel. Ansel is the new program that allows you to take 360-degree images. You can literally take the whole 360-degree and you can use it to share photos on your phone. Use the gyro in your phone to allow you to see the whole camera and move around the room just as a VR headset. A bunch of different things like that, where you can share the picture on your phone, PC, VR headset, however you want to share it. You'll be able to look around and see the whole 360-degree picture. And because of this, this program also creates a free roam camera. It uses the camera built in game. The developers of the games have to support it, so you're not going to see it in every game. Things like The Division, Witcher 3, I believe. There's a couple games out there. I'm not 100% sure of the list of them. You guys can check them out on their website. I'll have the link for the 1080 and the Ansel in the description below if you guys want to check out full details on that. If you just don't want to believe, that's just freaking awesome. But it's going to allow us to move the camera around, take some really cool shots. If you're in like high action fighting scene or whatever, you can basically pause the game, go to Ansel, and you can run through the program, move the camera around, and you can get just the crazy screenshots of the NPCs or just of an action shot that you really love. And the quality of these shots is not limited by your monitor size or your resolution. You're limited to a size of the file. I believe right now they're limiting it to something like 32 gigabytes, which is just an absolute beast of a size of an image. And I believe in the future, once more drivers come out, they'll be making that unlimited to basically you can set how large you want this, as long as your hard drive can support the size of the file. So anyway, guys, after talking about Ansel, if you guys want to stick around, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you found any of this information helpful to you, I am really excited for the GTX 1080. And if you want to see an unboxing, maybe, of a GTX 1080, be sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned, because I am I'm really excited about the 1080, and I'm looking forward to getting one myself, get my hands on it and play around with it. And if you guys want to see a setup video about my setup behind me, be sure to hit that subscribe button, because I'll be revealing one of those too. And yeah, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have, like I said, hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more gaming tech news and whatever we want to do here. So hit that like button, and yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one. This has been JC. You're watching Repeat Tech. Peace.